Awesome. All right. We got another one. I think in the interest of everybody's time, let's get started. So Derek, I'm going to turn it all over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's DMAR Connect, Shifting Market, Shifting Mindset. I'm excited you joined us today. And you are here right in DMAR's Membership Appreciation Month, which is really exciting. So there's a lot of things going on. I think Julie and Nobu are going to be auctioning off cars, trips, and vacation properties later on in the show. So be sure you stick around. Like I say, we appreciate our members and we are glad you're here. So again, thank you. I'm Derek Camunez. I am the chair of the Community Alliance Committee at DMAR. And our committee basically advocates for the diversity of our member communities by cultivating awareness and inclusivity through representation, education, and outreach. And today's program is going to be an illustration of that commitment in this discussion we're going to have today. So like I say, I'm really excited and I'm glad you guys took the time to join us today. Time allowing, I would also invite you guys to stick around after the show and network, share any of your listings that you'd like to promote. And like we were talking earlier, it's actually nice to see some inventory that we can actually put our hands on. You can set up a showing and it's actually there for you to go see. So there's some good things happening in the market. We're leveling out and I think it's a good opportunity for buyers by all means to get out there and buy. So I'm excited about that. So like I say, at the end, if you want to stick around, please do so. And we'll promote some of the new listings that are coming up. We could not bring the education and events we do to you guys without the support of our industry partners. And today's industry partner I'm really excited about, Land Title. Also, annual partner Chase Bank is here too. So we're going to be talking to them shortly. And as a matter of fact, let's take a moment right now and hear a few words from our industry partner who's joined us this morning, Megan Carlson with Land Title. Megan, I'm turning it over to you. Welcome. We're glad you're here and thank you.
Good morning, Derek. Good morning, Nobu, Julie, and the team. Thanks so much for having me today. My name is Megan Carlson, and my role at Land Title is to support all of you in the Cherry Creek and Lakewood areas. Land Title prides itself on personalized closing experiences, service, and support. We're laser focused on our customers, giving you the confidence in your transactions and business to be the experts and advocates for your clients. We're local in the state of Colorado and have a local title department. So what that means is that they have been searching and insuring for over 50 years and have seen every type of challenge. We have over 48 locations across the state of Colorado, so that allows for ease and convenience for all of you and your clients, dropping off earnest money and having your closing transactions in any of those offices. We also have a 3-point closing team, which means better and faster communication anytime that you do reach out to us. And we support our clients not only during their transactions and your transactions, but also support in your business growth with our in-house marketing team. So we have digital and printed products and also offer mailing services. So we'd love to talk to you more and more about Land Title. I would love to talk to you more and more about Land Title because we're so much more than just title. So if you don't know who your Land Title sales representative is, please, please, please reach out to me. Looking forward to chatting with all of you. Thanks so much.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Megan. Glad you're here. Now let's take a few moments and hear a few words from our annual corporate sponsor, Matthew Hay. He's the Senior Lending Advisor with Chase. Matthew, welcome.
Thanks, Derek. Thanks, DMAR, for having me on today. And it's nice to get to talk with a bunch of real estate agents in the area, of course. I'm sure you guys know who Chase is. It'd be weird if you didn't at this point. Couple things that I want to cover with you guys, what Chase is doing that's a little bit unique or something that can be a value add to your business. The first one, if you are not signed up for our program called Chase Agent Express, please shoot me an email. I'd be happy to let you know a little bit more about it. At the end of the day, it's an opportunity for you guys as real estate agents to get pre-approved, so already gone through the process and had their credit checked buyers, as well as sell side listings. If you guys are interested in being on the list side, you type into the program where you operate primarily. Whenever leads are sent there, that would be from me or from any one of the hundreds of Chase Home Lending advisors across the country. If they're inside your area, you're going to get in the queue, you're going to get a text and have an opportunity to chat with that customer. More program details will be in the email. Please let me know if you'd like to learn a little bit more about it. A couple other really nice things that Chase is doing. We've got a 21-day purchase closing guarantee. Obviously, the market is changing and Chase is changing with it. We're moving very, very quickly. There's local contacts across the country and, of course, here in Colorado. We've got $2,500 Chase homebuyer grants all across Colorado, as well as Denver and within various suburbs. And the final thing that I'll say is, things are changing. I know that things are changing on your guys' side. They're definitely changing on the lending side. One thing that you can count on is that a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, Chase is still going to be here. Chase is going to be here offering products to your customers and offering a really great experience. So at this point, if you're looking for a partner on the big bank side, if you will, Chase has 50% of the wallets in the United States. You'd be doing your customer a disservice by not introducing them to a lending advisor who knows a little bit more about what they're doing outside of the lending space. That's all I have for you. Thank you guys so much for giving me a couple minutes to speak, and looking forward to learning a lot over the next hour.
Thank you, Matthew. We're glad you're here with us today. Again, if you guys could put your information in the chat box below, Megan and Matthew, so that our attendees can get a hold of you if they need to. Thank you again. We appreciate your sponsorship and your support. Okay, guys, let's jump into this. I'm so excited for today's panel, Shifting Market, Shifting Mindset, and learning how diversity and inclusion should be a part of your business plan moving forward, in addition to several other things we're going to be talking about today. So like I said, it's going to be a good discussion. Today's speakers are Melissa Miller-Eakins and Harrison Beecher. I'm sure you guys are familiar with them. Melissa Miller-Eakins is managing broker, mentor, and realtor with Weston Main Homes. She's a member of the Community Alliance Committee as well as incoming DMAR director. So really proud of her. Congratulations, Melissa. Melissa's experience, local market knowledge, and proven abilities have taken her far in our industry. She's a proven leader. Melissa's business is built from repeat business and referrals. When she's not advocating for her clients, building her skill set, or mentoring new agents, you'll find Melissa in the middle of the action, cheering her family from the bleachers or audience, giving time to local schools, nonprofits, and various causes. Melissa strives to make her community and industries a better place to be. And I'm honored to know her and call her a friend as well. So welcome, Melissa. We're glad to have you here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek.
Also with us today is Harrison Beecher, managing partner of the Coalition Properties Group, serving the Washington, D.C. metro area. He is affiliated with Keller Williams Capital Properties, and he was honored by the National Association of Realtors and included in Realtor Magazine's 30 Under 30 class of 2016. Harrison currently serves as 2022 president of the Greater Capital Area Association of Realtors. He is the 2022 NAR Broker Engagement Council Chair and GCAAR Diversity and Inclusion Campaign Person. So with his spare time, Harrison is also a national speaker and coach, and he speaks on diversity and inclusion, mindset, social media optimization, among other things. Welcome, Harrison. We're glad to have you here as well. So thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Today's panel discussion is going to be moderated by DMAR's own CEO and Realtor champion extraordinaire, Nobu Hata. So with that, Nobu, let's begin today's program. Take it away.
Whew. Thanks, Derek. I got a little bit of an ego stroke there. It's super cool. We appreciate that a lot. I'm actually honored to be in the presence of both Melissa, who have, I think it's just been, my 6 months to a year here since my time here that you've been putting in the work and doing some cool things for DMAR on the CAC front, and Harrison, man, I think we talked like initially about Instagram, like stuff like a long time ago, but your passion on building a business, but doing it the right way, in an authentic way, and in an inclusive way, dude. Both these folks are celebrities, and especially as Piper Noel will chip in. Harrison is a YPN celebrity as well, and appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to spend with us. And Harrison, thanks for waking up from your 7-month-old duties. So let's just jump into this. I think let's talk about a whole wide range of topics here, including D&I. But let's talk about this market shift first. Both of you guys have been in this business for longer than kind of like the last 3 or 4 kind of aberrative years that have affected real estate. Instead of like freaking out, there's been a collective like, I can breathe. I can be less transactional. I can start thinking about my business again. I can go on vacation. So a couple of people told me I go on vacation now. The freak out isn't there as much, especially for those of us who were around in 2008, 9, 10, 11, when it did kind of bottom out. The sigh of relief is front and center, like this pause, like, okay, I'm going to take some time for myself. and then look at the opportunities that are out there, right? So when you guys look at your business and your businesses, maybe from this kind of high level approach, what are you guys seeing in the market? What are your thoughts on what the next 6 months to a year look like? And what are the opportunities that are there? So Melissa, maybe we'll start with you at the kind of local level.
I love this market. I know that's not a popular opinion, but I love this market. I think the one thing that this market does that our extreme sellers market that we've had the last 2 years hasn't done is it's given me an opportunity to build better relationships with my clients, other agents, my referral partners, everyone. It gives me the time to sit with my buyers and really work out what they're looking for instead of just looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath wherever. Now we can get really intentional and we can look for those 3 bedrooms, 2 baths in certain areas. Inventory is easing up a little bit, it feels like. So I just feel like this market gives me a little bit more time to build those relationships. And I love I love that we can all breathe a little bit right now.
Yeah, less transactional. That's the thing that I've heard a lot. It's
not
just about being first; it's about being right now, right?
Exactly.
So instead of trying to get this flurry of activity, right? Harrison, same thing with you, right? You're out in the DC area. You're seeing 3 states worth of crazy, which 2 states in whatever DC is, right? So,
Hey.
Yeah. But let's talk about that, right? And same thing with you. Your guys' market was absolutely nuts. But people had, instead of one area, it was multiple states worth of inventory crises. What are you seeing now as you look forward, and what opportunities are you seeing?
The biggest opportunity, Nobu, is for me and my business partners. I've got kind of an unusual structure where it's 3 owners that share and split everything from a business side equally. So it's 3 heads that have to constantly come together and look at and assess. Total size of our organization is around 22 people right now. And we were faced with the challenge about 2 months ago of looking at around 30% less pendings than we had a couple months ahead of that. So we are looking at revenue. We're looking at being able to, pay our salaried folks and stay ahead of that. And we had to make some tough choices. So the first thing we did was look at a lot of the contract labor and people that were helping us make things easier with marketing. We had to cut that back and take back some tasks on our own. So as everybody is looking ahead, when you feel something in the market, you're then going to see it in your important numbers, appointments and contracts. And we saw both of those start to lighten up. As a smaller business, you can be more nimble if you don't have other folks that you have to take care of. For us, because we had to take care of people, we had to be thoughtful about what were the things we could cut back on or take the task on ourselves. The second tier was then looking at all the other expense and things we were trying to build, Nobu, because we were about a 330 unit organization in 21. We were structuring out to get up to 400 to 425 units was our target for this year. Because of what we've seen in our area being under contract less, we've rolled those back to be ready to hit about that same 330 number this year. But that means we had to be thoughtful about some of the money we were spending to drive this bigger behemoth. So the whole concept for us, Nobu, is a hyper focus on numbers and specifically under contracts, what that's going to equal in terms of revenue in 60 to 90 days, and making smart choices with the knowledge that we're going to be okay. We just have to be active up front instead of being reactive later when revenue isn't keeping up with expenses. So looking at everything real close is what I encourage everyone to do, because then if you tighten the ship a little bit and you do exceed and do better, then that's the cushion you were seeking or you might have missed out on past months, instead of spending all this money and being overextended and then not having enough to kind of keep up, because that's what we can't afford to do at a bigger organization. And I hope more realtors think in that way about our expenses, because when you have a couple really good years, it's easy to just start spending money on stuff outward, but you got to hold every penny accountable, specifically in that marketing space, which is kind of the first thing that folks, ooh, shiny object, I'll put some money towards that, $100 a month, whatever. Just be thoughtful about expenses. And that's our biggest thing right now, because we're actually not down from a total revenue standpoint that much, because our price point's a little higher, but we're just projecting to be smart and conservative so we can take care of everybody in the fall and winter.
Wow. Okay, that was a lot of nerding out just now, and I'd love to be able to go deeper on that, because I think you're bringing up some really huge points. But I think I think we can all agree, though, the last 3-4 years in all of our markets, and nationwide, and frankly, I don't know anyone who would disagree with this, but it wasn't really real, right? So it actually gave you opportunities to save more because, yeah, you know what, there's flurry of activity, but save more to prepare for what is going to happen over the next 6 months as interest rates shift, right? So, yeah, it's an interesting thing. But let's talk about partners real quick. This was not on your list of questions here, but Chase actually brought up a really good point, right? Are you rethinking partnerships as well? Because Chase is bringing up a good point that, hey, there are some businesses built for the long haul and some that aren't, and we're seeing that now as Wall Street and VC money has left the chat, right?
Yep.
How do you value your partners now as you go into the next 6 months? Do you look at it like an expense, or is this more of a relationship business for you? Melissa, what are your thoughts?
Purely relational for me. And I think for the brokerage where I hang my license, it's relational. We know our partners. We know the shifts that some of our partners are making in their businesses with layoffs and whatnot, or some people are doubling down right now on things. For me, it all goes back to relationships, period. I know when I work a neutral market or a buyer's market, when I have listings, I'm not only am I calling my agent friends or whoever's on my prospect match list, I'm calling my lenders because they know they have buyers, period.
Yeah.
For me personally, I'm doubling down on those relationships. My calendar is full of face-to-face partner meetings right now.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, there are a lot of lenders out there that have buyers who are freaking out a little bit. Interest rates shifting affects them the most. Take them out to lunch.
Exactly.
Take them out for coffee rather than what used to be the other way around. Thoughts for you as for your relationships with your partners, Harrison?
Yeah, for us, Nobu, one of our major pillars of attracting opportunities and building business was big events. And our partnership engagement in the past was sponsor our events. And in exchange for money, you get presence with our people and some referrals. Our big mindset shift over the last really 90 days is our partners that have been showing up with us. What are the products and specialty things you can offer so we can proactively communicate those out to people that might be struggling? I know Chase in our area actually has a bigger grant than that we work with. And some of the other banks, we're looking at stuff that's impacting debt to income ratio, offering down payment assistance, and also for the middle of the road, what are some things that can help ease the pain or further incentivize folks around interest rates that can afford it, but are now thinking twice because the monthly payment's going to be $300 or $400 higher. So for us, Nobu, it was around, instead of just having this be a partnership relationship where we do stuff together with your money, now it's give us the, the content that we can share and educate, and that's how we're going to endear and build more opportunities and support folks instead of just the open bar brunch, which is still awesome and fun. Now we want to get out some information to help and grow our business that way.
You're really, well, you guys are bringing up not on the question list questions that I have. We're gonna have to save it for another day, but that nuanced relationship, it's much more now like two-way relational. Let's figure out like kind communication skills, how we're going to build rapport with our collective client base, customer base, really, that aren't in the system yet. Oh boy, I can keep going with this, but let's get a little more granular. So you guys are you guys are running massive businesses, right? But let's talk about your agents. Let's talk about your teams, right? So you guys clearly have thought about what that mindset shift looks like to you. And there's some people out there, maybe some on this Zoom that are they may be unsure of what to do next, right? Because they've never experienced, like I overheard a conversation last week about how to do a price reduction on a form, how to get that signed, which is crazy when you think about it, but not when you think about the context of the last couple of years. How do you help your team prioritize? How do you help them switch their mind shift up into more of a, let's start being better versus quicker, right? More than anything. What are your thoughts on that? Harrison, let's start with you.
Oh, so such a good question. One of the mechanisms we use, Nobu, to help our sales agents track production and just stay on it is the 12-week year system, where we break down productivity and activity goals into 12-week segments, and then we have incentives at the end. A part of that 12-week system is every week we're talking at a high level, like, all right, how many contacts, how many appointments, and how many pendings did you have? What's powerful about that is when you track that, even as an individual, you're going to start to notice trends, and you're going to get a good sense of what's happening in 90 days down the line. So for us, in our last couple sessions, Nobu, it's been kind of me and one of my other team members that's been around since, 07 and 08 saying, hey, get ready. For the same amount of money you were going to make before or less money, you're going to need to be mentally prepared to put in more effort. You're going to have fully qualified folks. You're going to start to see a couple deals at the end just go poof, right? For emotion, for other things. And this didn't happen before. But guess what? First, you got to know that you'll be okay. And how do you know that you'll be okay? Go back to your pipeline and your activity tracker. As long as you've got those activities in there and you're doing the right stuff, even if your conversion rate goes down or a few things go away, you can rest assured and you can show up as a better salesperson because you've got that underlying confidence that you'll be okay. When you know that you'll be okay, you can then relay an answer to a lot of people because consumers are coming at us now with what question? The market's crashing. This is so bad. Like they're freaked out with little sound bites, and we have to be better as communicators and educators to our clients to say that we're all going to be okay. It may take a little longer. There might be a few things that come up, but as long as you keep that mindset and have your feet on solid ground, per se, I think you're going to show up as a better salesperson. And we're seeing that keep the appointments numbers high, even if the pendings is going down, because you can't always control what happens in the market, but you can control the people you're communicating with and how you feed your pipeline.
That's a really good point, Melissa. Like, yeah, I mean, it's really how you're making people feel. Right. It's the confidence that folks are exuding. And so, and Harris, you kind of nailed it. It's like how to be a better communicator than what the media is putting out, what your family and friends who tend to be doomsayers putting out. And here in Denver, right, yeah, unaffordability actually hits us a lot harder. We'll delve into that a little deeper in a minute, but the lack of affordability is massive here for local Denverites.
Yep.
So you got people who've been shut out for the last 4 years, 5 years. How do you give those people confidence in even this what could be a potentially crazier market here in Denver?
Such a great question, Nobu. And it goes back to your last question with relationships. Like I know that Matthew at Chase has some great products that they might be DPA assistants, it might be VA, it might be FHA. But I know that I know which partners have products to get people into the market. Everything for us goes back to preparation education. The brokerage where I hang my license, it's preparation education. We have classes every week and we educate our agents as best we can. We've pivoted in the last few months to having monthly broker opens. Third Friday, every month, broker open. That's what you're doing on Friday mornings. But again, it all goes back to relationships and knowing what's out there. And that's how we get people into the market because there's so many people who don't know. I'm going to sidetrack here. I'm going to go to Julie, and Julie, our DMAR events director, did a great House of Palooza a few months ago. And it was an open public event for people who probably didn't know that they could buy a house, and they were able to meet with industry partners. We're all in this together, and it takes every one of us to make sure that people out there have housing, whether it's, affordable housing or finding rentals or whatever it is. We need to get our teachers, our healthcare workers, our restaurant workers, we need to make sure that they have housing here in the metro area. Otherwise, we're going to continue to see the problems that we see in Denver here. It's hard to find a nurse. It's hard to you're waiting 30 minutes for food or for someone to take your order. We've got a teacher shortage, a law enforcement shortage. It starts with housing. All these people need somewhere to live. We need to help them with that. I got off the rails there, but
it's a thing. Stability is a thing, right? Housing is a huge part of that. And I will say that while I hate saying it in the real estate business context, right? Hope is a really good strategy with consumer outreach, right? And to give people what they need when they don't know they need it, right? That just kind of lift them up. Attitude, I think, is huge, both within our industry and outside when it comes to our clients. You both are very good mentors. Melissa, I've been super impressed with the way you built a culture with your brokerage. Harris, the same thing, man. And frankly, nationwide, you have quickly built a name for yourself, being a mentor for people across the country with super intentional leadership, right? What role is that going to play going forward when you're building your teams up rather than them trying, concentrating on the self-loathing that real estate tends to have? What are your thoughts on that mentorship dynamic now as we go into the next kind of stage of real estate?
Oh, how
Melissa,
much
you wanna go
time?
ahead?
How much time do we have? I could talk about mentorship all day. All the things we're talking about today. I'm so passionate about and drive my heart. Mentorship is more important today than it probably was a couple of months ago. I don't know. It's important every day, whether it's an informal mentorship or a formal mentorship. We all need. I'm a big fan of people having a real estate tribe. So people outside of your brokerage, people outside of your industry, people outside of just the real estate partners, but it's getting an idea of how to work in a different situation than what you might have been in 3 months ago. And it's looking at experience. It's also looking at fresh ideas. For me, I run an accountability group at my brokerage, and we have new agents and we have agents who have been seasoned for 20 years plus. And the seasoned agents are learning from the new agents. The new agents are learning from the seasoned agents. I am 110% in on mentorship, no matter what it looks like, informal, formal, whether it's taking someone out to lunch who you know, love, and respect, or who you don't know, love, and want and respect and want to get to know better. Or is it a formal like mentorship? Like, here are the things that I'm going to teach you, or what do you want to learn? Shifting through this change in the market, for me, working with my mentees who only knew an extreme seller's market, we've come back together and I've been working with them weekly on how to survive this more neutral market. And they're seeing success. They have the confidence to know that they can continue to make money and thrive in this industry.
Yeah. Harrison, your thoughts on mentorship? Because you have almost a bigger scope now.
Yeah, man, it's super important. I think it all comes from an abundance mindset, Nobu. I think it's from people like you that even before we met in person, I had heard of your name, heard of the good things that you've done. I think when people put out both that mindset of abundance and willingness to share and the confidence that kind of breeds and exudes, that's something that I think is going to be really important as we move forward. Because whenever there's a shift or transition, it's uncertainty that kind of crashes deals and messes everything up. So how can you confidently help people from the context you've got from being around for a while, of seeing how things have gone before? That's probably the most powerful part of mentorship. And I think it is, really necessary, especially in more diverse, newer, first generation into the business, first generation into all of this spaces, because privilege, one of the direct benefits of privilege, is built-in mentorship around you of folks that know how to do it and that have safety nets and have been able to explain stuff. So for me, this concept of mentorship specifically to folks who are from, Black, brown, diverse, different communities about real estate is powerful, because I know they don't really have anybody that's just naturally in their network that could show them how to do it, or that they could get this by osmosis. So I think if we can, build, bigger communities of more diverse folks that produce at a high level and know how to do this, then folks can look at them and say, oh, there's, someone like me that has been here, that has traversed it. And the one piece of advice I'd give, Nobu, to mentees seeking mentors is to be thoughtful with the questions you ask when you show up, right? And also know that you have something to bring to a top producer, busy president, whoever top person, with your free time, your energy, and your youth, your ideas. So like I always want to say, it's not always a one-way street of value from mentor to mentee. But when someone reaches out to me with powerful, pointed questions, that's thoughtful, that's bringing a new perspective, that is energizing to me as well, to be like, oh, I would love to. I know about this stuff I've been doing. What are you doing? Like, what do you see in the world that's different that I don't? So like mentees have more to bring to the table, but also just be thoughtful, be prompt, and be as efficient as possible with the person you're seeking to mentor you, because they're probably pretty busy. And if they can't give you hours, just take whatever time you can get and be the most efficient with that time.
Yeah. I mean,
Great. Yes. Harrison. Yes. One of the foundations of the mentorship program I run is that one teaches to learn. I have seen our veteran agents who are mentors in our formal mentorship program become much more confident because they didn't realize how much they knew. I mean, most of my seasoned agents have forgotten more than new agents know coming in, right? And for new agents coming in, it's like drinking water from a fire hose. There's just so much to learn. But having that support from a veteran agent is huge. I know I still go back to my mentors from when I started in this industry, at least monthly, if not more, just to continue to pick their brains to learn what I don't know.
Yeah, but I'll urge any agent, if you've been in this business for less than 10 years, I mean, that's where it's at now.
Yep.
Find a mentor.
Yep.
Find somebody. It could be literally somebody in your brokerage. You know, Derek, I know you're a mentor for many people outside of your brokerage. So like, find your tribe, man. Now is the time to get better because we have time to think about how we can get better, right? And this is a really good segue into almost this community outreach. So we're talking about future business here, right? You almost need to have that mentorship, mentee approach to customers now and would-be customers as you're going out into the markets here in Denver or in the tri-state area where you're working, Harrison. When we're talking about communities now, right? There's the last 5 years have really brought in front and center what real estate should be focusing on. And it's not just about buyers and sellers of today, right? Because I personally, I think we've seen about 15 to 20 years worth of business compacted in the last 8 years, right? Now we're going to be talking about the next 10 years of business for folks who are going to need help, right? And a really good example of what I'm seeing out there is down payment resource. To your point, Melissa, for years was baked into the MLS construct. Realtors didn't use it.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as Zillow put down payment resources public and attached it to listings on their website, traffic shot up, inquiries shot up. You're seeing the need kind of show itself, right? So when it comes to this mind shift, now we're really talking about folks who, especially here in Denver, may not be able to buy for 5 to 10 years. Sellers who are sitting on a gold mine and are freaking out because even a downsized move is going to cost them more. How does that mind shift to more community-based action, right? How does that shift to what do buyers and sellers need? Does that come out in your marketing? Does that come out in your maybe tactical outreach with clients? Maybe Harrison, we'll start with you, kind of the bigger kind of macro level, because I know you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, no, and we're fortunate, Nobu, that like one of the pillars, like I said, in addition to our events, was strategic community partnerships and giving back to organizations where we live. I mean, everything from Humane Society to food banks to sponsoring stuff for teachers. It's a big need right now. I think a great opportunity for folks. Do something to collect supplies for teachers in your community and talk about it because they need it so much. So macro wise, you look where you live and you look where, as Melissa was saying, there's all these different buckets of need and opportunity. But then we also think about what we can do as realtors at a high level. We can get people together, right? We can communicate, we can market, and how are ways that we can vertically integrate the things we're already doing to grow business, which for us, like I said, client events, strategic community partnerships and giving back, education around down payment assistance products, neighborhood, just education out to our community about things. How can I vertically integrate giving back at a high level to everything I'm doing anyway? An example, if I'm going to be doing we're doing an ownership conference. This first thing we're doing next month, where we're bringing together resources to teach owners about how you maximize your property, how you protect it, and then how you look at investing and growing up. We've got a specific focus with a primarily Black news publication in the city. So we're trying to target the Black community to talk about like long-term legacy building stuff too. But those products and the things we're talking about benefit everybody, right? So what I'm doing is, in addition to getting all these people together there, we're bringing in community partners strategically, food banks, fundraising, and collecting supplies for teachers. Anytime you get a bunch of folks together, also do something for good for a community that is close to where you live. And you don't have to scream from the mountaintops. You don't lead in your follow-up marketing that you did that, but you make the people there aware that that is your intention and that's what you're doing. And the most powerful thing I've seen, Nobu, is that when people see that, when they see people like realtors or business leaders take a leadership position in giving back or organizing something, you'll start to see your clients and other folks donate or show up there or volunteer after you set the lead. So we have so much more power than just the money in our pockets to like give to do stuff. If we choose to vertically integrate and continue to bring people in to the stuff we're doing anyway, you're going to start to get little referrals and opportunities and pings and tags and things like that happen good. It just takes a little bit more effort up front to be thoughtful about the spaces where you're going to vertically integrate and show up. But when you do it, the results are amazing. So hopefully that answered the question.
No, my goodness, it's such a good one. And then before we start, Melissa, I think the thing is, and nothing gives me the feels. I have a 6-year-old, and most of you guys know that, going to first grade. But even his class needed school supplies. And nothing gives me the better feels than seeing folks activate. And frankly, you're right, Harrison, because think about the last 3-4 years in real estate, the people who can buy a house went over lists. They have a lot of cash to do things like that. Activate them because they have the ability to do it. It's really good, not only community, but client outreach. So Melissa, yeah, go ahead, chime in.
Yeah, no, we are completely aligned with what Harrison just said. In 2020, my brokerage gave me the privilege of giving out $500 a week. So we'd have a Friday morning meeting. Everyone would nominate a nonprofit in the chat, and I would pull a name out of a hat, would give out $500 every week for 6 weeks. It's a lot of money. But then we got to know these nonprofits. We got to partner with them. In 2021 and 2022, now that we're able to go out and see people and meet people, we're actually putting the time in with these nonprofits. It's not just the one person who brought the nonprofit to the table, it's all of us. And it takes all of us. It's these small incremental changes that add up to big changes down the road. So I loved hearing what Harrison had to say, just because that's the culture that I live in, is one of giving. And, you receive way more than what you give.
And I don't want to be preachy about this, but guys, real estate last 4 or 5 years has been really, really good. It's time for us to be giving back. Whether it's a church or school or puppies, it's time for us to start
DMAR.
thinking of. Or
Or DMAR.
That's nice. We got a foundation that we just started as well that will be activated very soon. We're taking some cash, guys, for that. But it's time to get back, right? But I was gonna say, sometimes that business won't come to fruition for a while. But it sounds like for both of you guys that it has some short-term spikes in business for you. Is that both of you guys are seeing that?
Yeah. That's correct. I mean, and the other part, Nobu, I'll just say, as we're talking about encouraging people to give back, it doesn't have to be macro or huge either, right? Like you can have a really big impact at that one shelter, that one school, one small event, right? A fundraising at your next open house, right? For people can sign up for information for something at school. Like think of every individual thing you do as an opportunity to get more eyeballs, right? Time, talent, or treasure. What are one of the 3 things that we can help raise at all times? It's one of those at all times. So yes, short-term benefits come by doing it, and then just the follow-up and continuing to show up strategically is where the long-term benefits come, and that takes a little bit more planning.
No, but not to keep this focused on business, but we are in the business of real estating. We just did a habitat project, and one of our agents met someone who was also volunteering that day. They connected. This person's looking for land. My agent doesn't know the land process. I do. So I'm coaching her through that process. But that's just because we volunteer, we get out there. It's that belly to belly. Right now, it's so important. That belly to belly interaction is what people are looking for. So get out there, no matter what it is. Just give someone an hour or 2, or buy some extra groceries and drop them off at a food bank. Every time my business is slow, I swear to you, every time my business is slow, I'll go to the grocery store, buy some extra groceries, drop them off at my local food bank. And I swear to God, I will have a client call me in like 48 hours.
Yeah.
You give to get.
Yeah. And Jay's, Jayman Anasella chimed in the chat. By the way, guys, if you have questions for these guys, put in the chat. But Jayman Anasella brought up food for thought. Local guy. Great way, by the way, to listen to some really good heavy metal music and punk rock while doing some good packing food for kids who in this day and age, and one of the most wealthy countries in the world, we still have kids that are starving every day as they go to school, and that's starting up again. So thanks for that, Jay.
And you would be shocked at what's in your community. I work a lot
Yeah.
with the kids' schools, and I am always humbled by what these kids have to go through to get to school every day.
Let's talk about DEI. You guys are forerunners on diversity, equity, and inclusion, both in your communities, in your business, and real estate. It has moved front and center over the last couple of years as we're seeing real estate become a part of the conversation, right? About this almost nationwide. I was in Minneapolis beforehand, Denver, Chicago, where I spent a lot of time. So, when it comes to being intentional about this, right? I think a lot of folks try to eat this whole DE&I elephant at once. And it's just like everything else. And Harrison, getting out of the equation, like, I'm going to do Instagram, and they do it horribly for 2 weeks, and then they leave it. But DE&I is something that we should be ingraining within our cultures and our brokerages, right? How do you be intentional about that? How do you prioritize? And so maybe Harrison will start at the kind of the broader perspective, because you've been doing it for a while nationwide, advising on it back when it wasn't a conversation. So how do you think about that? How do you prioritize with your team, with your business, so that you can go out in the community for folks who definitely won't be able to buy and sell for a while? Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, like, I'm glad you said that, is a longer game and commitment, and also a deeper kind of emotional and personal check than some folks may realize. One of my favorite phrases when beginning a conversation is that there is no truth without reconciliation. So we've seen over the last couple of years, between what Tommy Choi did in Chicago, what President Oppler did a couple of years ago, of acknowledging the role of organized real estate in the wealth and income disparities amongst racial groups in America, right? Like, that's a truth. Richard Rothstein, The Color of Law, like, it's fact, right? So once we get there, because there's surprising, and I assume the Denver area is pretty progressive as the DC area is. So to our audience, it's not like we have to beat that first piece over the head, but I think there is an important space to say, let's acknowledge where things started before us, even though it is not directly my fault or things done with my hands. Our industry had something to do with it. Once you start there, it will give you the rationale and logical thought that says, well, then we need to seek different solutions than what has happened before to first increase the number of practitioners in our industry that are people of color, that are empowered, that can navigate what has been a very privilege laden and, support and safety net industry in the past. How do we encourage and create space for more people, more different people to get into the industry? That's kind of question one. But then what I've been focusing on a lot lately, Nobu, is the real business opportunity that exists to serve more diverse communities. Now, will some of those opportunities to help, call it Black, Brown, Latinx, every other ethnic group of buyer, require more lead time from a financial literacy, credit repair, education in some sectors? Yes. But when we look to activate this hungry and ready and willing and able and eager sector demographic within our market, that's more business opportunities for everybody, right? So I always say when I lead these talks, Nobu, it's like, this is something you should do as a person, you should do as a realtor, is be open up to everyone and being able to serve everyone in your community. But also, just as a strictly business person, if you look at another sector of business you want to open yourself up to, that is why you should engage in At Home with Diversity with every affinity group locally, to learn about how you can better connect with a ready, willing, and able buyer pool that just needs a little bit of extra help in some cases, or needs somebody to come to them in a non-judgmental way and an open-minded way with the resources that can support them. So I think from a macro standpoint, it's acknowledging the history and where we were, but also acknowledging right now the real business opportunity to help communities that have been on the outside looking in for a while.
Yeah, the inclusiveness aspect strikes me as the thing that is most actionable for almost everything in our business, right? We're a very cliquey industry, and we're cliquey about with our buyers and our sellers. And I think, again, that hope is that strategy. And I think about, Denver, as we kind of get local here, Melissa, Denver and Hawaii real estate prices are a lot alike, and you've got the locals being shut out. But when I was talking to friends of mine in Hawaii yesterday, they were like, locals have a chance, folks who were shut out for 30, 40 years of that of growth in Hawaii now have a shot, and that hope, and that inclusiveness, that less clickiness is a thing, right? So what are your thoughts on that at the local level when it comes to what we should be doing in our communities?
Oh, there's so much we could be doing. Here in Denver, I know that there's some affordable housing coming down the pike. There's actually some units that are available right now, and people just don't know about them.
Yeah.
And it's personally become one of my crusades that Julie and Derek will let you know that we need to do affordable housing tours. We need to bring our agents to the properties where they might have a buyer. They might not have a buyer today, but they might have a buyer tomorrow or next week. You never know when your phone's going to ring and someone's going to need something. But again, so much of it goes back to education, and it's educating agents to what's out there and what we have, in Denver, city and county of Denver. I'm not going to dive too deep into this, but they are working right now on making housing more affordable and making sure that these big projects that are going up have some affordable housing or parking even. Affordable housing is going back to what I said earlier. What are we struggling with in Denver? Healthcare, restaurants, teachers, even mechanics, our tradespeople. A lot of them can't afford to live here anymore, so they're going where they can afford to live. We need to make sure that we're educating our agents and our brokers to know what products are out there for these people that want to buy a house and they want to have their mortgage payment, that cost of living, be a pretty standard line item in their budget. So they know every month it's going to be $2,500. And then as Denver continues to, Denver property values continue to raise in value, that $2,500 might be $2,600, but hopefully inflation goes down, cost of living goes up, wages catch up. But people need to know we can keep those types of people in our community if we can get them into housing. And if they know what that line item is in their budget month over month, year over year.
You're almost like an economist now. And I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's there's a question about market shift and why this is relevant. Guys, got to tell you, like, you got to start thinking about your business going forward in the next 10 years. Affordable housing, it's got a stigma attached to it, but it's cops, it's lawyer, it's cops, it's teachers, it's folks who they were shut out beforehand. The average sales price in Denver, in the Denver metro now, is like $600,000, guys. And then there's nothing more quintessential about this market than the stat that the cost of living and housing has gone up 400% since 2010, and the median salary has only gone up $3,000 during that same time frame. The market's shifting all around you, folks, and this is when we're thinking about business, the inclusiveness aspect, thinking beyond the folks who have bought with you today and thinking about your clients of tomorrow. It's definitely something you need to be thinking about. So this is you may be thinking about these catchword phrases now, but the inclusiveness of how you think about your business and who your clients of tomorrow will be, it should be front and center in how you think and act right now, because it's not going away. It's 1 in 6 Denverites can afford to buy a home here. Everything is being driven by folks who were not from this market, people like me, right? Who this market is still a deal, even though that's slowing down, right? So, think beyond what we can do today and think about those clients to tomorrow. And right now, they are not only communities of color, but they're workforce folks, your everyday folks that have been shut out because of the lack of income. So it's a very real issue here and in markets like yours, Harrison.
Yeah, we're 725 here, 725K as a median. So and yes, we have high income, but that makes it very difficult for working class families to get in.
Yeah, to your point, Melissa, right? It's like Here we're talking about ADUs in the city, right? Being able to scale up housing.
Yep.
What does affordable housing look like going forward? I know you wanted to have that, have it to I saw your Instagram reel about that.
Yeah.
It got a lot of engagement from your sphere.
Yeah. So, there's so much we could do here. I mean, realistically, some of the things we need to change might be zoning. We might need to become a more dense city in order for people to continue to live here.
You look at what there's a 40% increase in new construction permits here in the Denver metro area, but almost all of that is based on 2016, 17, 18 demand.
Yep.
Do we need any more 5-bedroom, 4-bath, weird 2.5 car garage houses? I don't think so. Right?
A little trend I'm starting to see in my business is I'm starting to see multi-generational families starting to live together. So I have several clients right now who we're selling grandma's house, we're going to sell grandson's house, and they're going to merge households because childcare is hard to find.
If you're on a fixed income, you can't afford taxes.
Exactly.
On your house anymore.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. I mean, and maybe that's not a trend everyone will see, but that is a trend I'm seeing in my business right now. Is I've got a couple of families that are, they might need that 5-bedroom, 3-car garage because they're going multi-generational. It's not just a single family residence; it's a multi-generational family residence. And most of the rest of the world lives in a lot less square footage, and they also tend to live multi-generationally. And I think as a community and a country, we probably need to normalize multi-generational households.
One of the issues that was being fought for by the state here was the ability to grandfather in some of the tax rates, right, for those folks who can no longer afford it because it's made and let that travel. By the way, right, so. There are a lot of, they could move to another home, right? So there are a lot of issues out there that are affecting it. Developers are pushing,
Some questions.
We have a lot of growth issues that we're going to be experiencing here. So, something to consider as we have. Portland just passed zoning laws. Yep, I just met a Portland agent last week, said the exact same thing, right? So there's actually never been a better time to be a realtor, to be honest with you, because it's like, not only are you talking about this from the consumer level, but you're going and fighting for policy, right? So again, not on our question list, but Harrison, I know you've been involved in a lot of these policy conversations. So many of these policy conversations have become very local, as evidenced by the chat here, right? So from Megan and Suzanne talking about Portland and Denver, how do you make that change from maybe the policy perspective? How do you get involved? It's what realtors do, right?
No, that I was trying to find a way to interject this. I have the pleasure of serving in Washington, D.C. Our mayor created a Black homeownership strike force or task force to look at in conjunction with the 2030 census. There's a national program that President-elect Tracy Casper is supporting and NAR is supporting, the 3 for 30 initiative to create 3 million more Black households in the country by the year 2030, right? Big, audacious goal, but talking about from a data standpoint, what are all the different things that stakeholders can come in to do to help create and increase Black homeownership? The truth is, if you look at and hyper focus on Black homeownership as a focal group, that then those same strategies and techniques and products brought to market can help a lot more of our marginalized and lower income folks too. So yes, that's the focus, but it's there. And that's all connected to being a realtor and specifically realtor leadership, because I would not have a seat at that table, which I have a seat at right now and I earn because I'm president-elect and I've done some other policy stuff through our RPAC locally to talk with these stakeholders, talking about right now it's $10 million that they're looking to earmark towards this. Our first recommendation is for them to increase that, the city of DC, to $100 million, make a leveraged fund, take business mindset and look at a problem that needs to be solved and know that there are actual business solutions in the market. Chase Bank, other large lending institutions are creating funds in space to increase an impact from their community reinvestment funds. We've got a really critical mass and important moment, Nobu, where people who are on the ground like us, right, getting involved, that know the concerns of both our consumers every day, but also of our peers that we hear in conversations like this, are the people that need to be talking to local, state, and national politicians about the policy changes and the big money that can come in and support and both create housing units, right, as point one, but also for the existing housing stock, how do we have both products, support, education, and strategies to help people access the existing housing stock? Because we're not going to build our way out of it completely, but we on the ground know that there's existing housing stock that what would it look like if there was, different underwriting or inspection requirements that could allow people to get in fixer-uppers, right? That could and if it wasn't for a realtor being at the table, that concept would have never been brought up. So they created a separate preservation fund locally that we're going to work to have some money go into these older homes to help them qualify for a down payment program. So no, it's so important. For me, it started with RPAC, then being further involved to earn like a board of directors and president position gave me a bigger platform, but it all started from RPAC and understanding how, our local advocacy outreach has direct impact into our communities. And they need it now more than ever.
Yeah, I think you're both bringing up good points, right? So no matter, so yes, there may be an emphasis with Black housing initially, but it benefits everyone on the affordability scale because affordability has become an issue, right? And you mentioned it, Harrison. What affordability means is actually changing now, right? It's not just mortgage guidelines anymore because inflation isn't brought into the equation when it comes to that. And it looks like we're going to be experiencing at least this 8.5 to 9% inflation for the next couple of years, folks. And it's going to affect everyone. So, what do you consider affordable? And maybe I'll throw this to you, Melissa, here in the Denver metro area. And where are you, are you finding any resources for housing stock here locally that could be a resource for underserved communities or cops, teachers, social workers, any of those guys?
Wow. Okay.
Sounds like a no, huh?
Yeah. Not as easily as I would have hoped. There's been programs in the past like Homes for Heroes. So that was a program for law enforcement officers and nurses and teachers, first responders. We don't see those as much anymore. The last few years, FHA, VA, and other DPA programs have kind of pushed those programs aside. But I feel let's face it, lending is shifting. Lending, not only is real estate what we do shifting, but our lending partners, their business is shifting too. We've seen a lot more programs that will allow buyers to effectively act like a cash buyer up front. And then, the lender closes in 10 days and then you buy the property from the lender in 21 days. I would like to see our lender partners bring back some of the products that were around before. I'd also like to see a lot of education around some of these DPA programs that are out there. VA gets a bad rap. Yeah. VA is a great product for people who have served our country. And it's not just it doesn't have to be a one and done thing for some of these VA borrowers. It could be, you can use part of your VA benefits here in Denver, but you're being stationed in Alabama now. You can use part of your benefits there, hang on to your house here, rent it to someone. We have so much more work ahead of us. And it just, like you said, it feels like a really good time to be in real estate, but it's also the time to change right now. Not only is the market changing, but we all need to change with it. And again, goes back to education. We need to educate our agents on what products are out there. I always ask my lenders, what do you have? What do you have for my guy who's a train conductor and he makes a great income, doesn't have a lot of credit, is banking money right now. What do you have for him? And we might have something for him, but I just don't know about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. We have a long way to go.
It's a conversation starter. I think this is a way to get back. I mean, it's interesting. It's not just VAA. I mean, things like FHA 203K.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I think there's some languishing inventory out there that we can all be using, and we can all be educating other folks on. Buy that home, get that contractor in, and then fix it up. Right. Well, I get it.
Part of the problem with FHA 203K is we are lacking the tradespeople who have to be FHA 203K certified we're lacking that. I just had this conversation with one of my agents this week. Is she has an FHA buyer and the appraisal came back crazy, and I said, well, how about switching to FHA 203K? And she was like, what is that? And then I had to explain it to her, and then, you know, had to have her talk to her lender about it. But yes, we need to bring those programs back. We need the tradespeople too, though. So
yeah.
No,
it's all interconnected.
if I may, just 2 points on that. I think what we can control, speaking to this group of like realtors within your, Greater Denver Metro Area Association and nationally, when we talk with our sellers, right, about the products coming in, we know we're coming into a cash crunch time, right? It's not just as, put it out there, receive a crazy offer and sign it right away. I think when realtors, listing agents specifically, can choose to take a little bit more time and consider and endorse that financed offer relative to the cash offer. Because right now in the past, it was, well, FHA offers offering 20K higher, but it's cash, so I'm just going to take that cash and run, right? How we talk about risk is informed by what we know. So locally, we're working on like, how can we better educate people to know the intricacies of VA underwriting, the intricacies of 203K and FHA products? Because if we just say in our heads as agents, oh, harder, easier, I go easier all the time, and I endorse that to my seller, our sellers will never think bigger, and that inventory there that might be available to somebody financing will just get wiped off the table. So that's one challenge I throw out to y'all that I throw out locally, is as agents get better educated about the products, speak about them, and be able to speak to the risk that we perceive or that we talk about in an informed fashion. Because in some cases, if that can help equal an extra $20,000 to $30,000 for our seller in exchange for risk in a couple weeks or whatever, that's something that I argue we as agents should bring to the table, as opposed to just saying, nope, cash only, right? We're the conduits that explain how offers and programs work. And the last thing I'll throw out, I want us to continue to build a culture that celebrates those who lean into and support the communities that need a little bit more help on the financing side. We have our local awards, right? Realtors love nothing more than an acronym, an award, or a little $20 trophy. So I made one for our award ceremony last year alongside the production award called the Pathways Award. And we invited people that have shown a commitment that could, write a paragraph and describe how you have helped VA FHA program, first time buyer, whatever, who it is, tell us your story and how you did it. And we selected 5 of those stories that we highlighted first at our annual award ceremony. So if we build a culture that celebrates that, because guess what? Those people didn't do the work for free. Like, they still got paid. It was a closing. But let's talk about the, like my team, 350 units, whatever, that's who's at the top. Let's highlight and talk about more of the folks that are choosing to give effort in that sector and get more, excitement, enthusiasm around it. And we're seeing more engagement at our seminars and educational things that we do there too. So I think that's an internal check that we as realtors can do that will make a difference, and we're still gonna get paid on the other side of it, right? We're not doing it completely altruistically, but it's gonna help people on the consumer side a lot.
We got folks chiming in about FHA 203K, and there's the city has a social equity down payment assistance program, which actually is great. Melissa, I know you know about that. I think we need to start curating this stuff for our committee, start getting it out there for folks, become part of that education and wisdom is marketing equation now. I think that's what we got to get back to. So Nicole, if you could put that information in the chat, that would be awesome. And what we'll do is maybe we can get you in another Zoom to talk about that. I think a whole other kind of down payment resource and down payment assistance lunch and learn, I think, would be pretty huge. But let's kind of want to wrap this up. I kept you guys on here for an hour, and thank you again for your time. How do you prepare for this? I want to kind of reboot my business. I got to think about that long term. What would be the first thing you would do to think about what that? Okay, I'm going to go on vacation, get my weekend in Mexico, and do my thing, but I'm going to get back and get back to work. Right? What would you prioritize, or what have you prioritized in your guys' businesses, whether it's D&I or whether it's researching the information that's out there, doing your affordable housing tour, Melissa? What would be the first thing you think about?
Oh, well, the first thing that I would do is I would take advantage of my Realtor membership. I would go to fairhaven.realtor. So Fairhaven is an online simulation that talks about implicit bias. It talks about all sorts of wonderful things. It'll take you about an hour. It's free. It's eye-opening. I've had agents, we did a big push in April, which is Fair Housing Month, as we all know. We did a big push in my office to have our 250 agents take Fairhaven. And we're about a third of the way there right now. We're aiming for complete compliance by the end of the year. But Fairhaven, I've had a lot of agents say to me, I didn't understand what I was getting into when I started the hour. By the end of the hour, I was in tears because I felt seen, or I didn't realize I was doing what I was doing. For DE&I, I think that's the first thing I would do. Is Fairhaven's the first step. At Home with Diversity is another great program. 8 hours, CARS sponsoring a class next month. It's normally like $110. I think it's going to be 35. It's fantastic. It's learning about the VA, DPA, FHA, CHAFA. Let's learn about all those programs. Remove the stigma. Talk to your sellers about it. Talk to your buyers. Talk to your lenders. Talk to your councilmen. Talk to your politicians. And then finally, the last thing that you should really be doing is asking for your brokerage's support on these items and making sure they're at the forefront of and being innovative and knowing what's out there.
Yeah, it's time to start looking way ahead. Right?
Yeah, it really is. And it's small changes every day. It's just little improvements.
Yeah. Harrison, thoughts?
I love it. I just love the energy. And Melissa, thank you so much for sharing everything you shared today. Noble, your convo. From a practical business standpoint, the thing I'm doing right now is sending out unsolicited market analyses to all my past clients. That asked for it or not, I'm going back to inform them of their active market value. And in that email, we've also got a list and some invitations to that ownership conference, and also some upcoming buyer move up seminars that we're doing to like lead and put the education to them proactively. When you talk about lead generation, you can do it with a spear, or you can do it with a net, right? I'm more of a net hunter where I like to throw stuff out and invite them to attract. So if you're not proactively communicating with folks that you helped buy their home in the last few years, send them an update on what their market value is, start a conversation, get to clarity, get past anecdotes and what they're reading in media. Always a great thing to do that will help spur up some deals for you towards the end of the year. On the DEI front, again, it's a whole journey that folks have. Fairhaven is an outstanding tool that puts you in the shoes of somebody experiencing it. The implicit bias training, implicit bias override, is another video that NAR has on the website you can check out that can help give you a little bit more of an insider perspective to hear. The most recent book that I read that was eye-opening and very tactical to further my education, even around DEI and disparities and just income and wealth, is a book called The Whiteness of Wealth, which talks about like some stuff with the tax code and just history that is really eye-opening about why there are bigger disparities today. I can send you the link to go around, but I think folks need to continue to educate themselves and then choose to engage in conversations that make you uncomfortable. There also needs to be a disconnection between individual intention and the understanding of systemic problems and racism, right? Because those are still real. Like, you can be a good person, you are a good person, you yourself may not be racist. The business that we work in, the rules and access to money, banking systems still have a lot of racist tendencies built in and baked in from the past. So I think the quicker people can acknowledge that first, then we can continue to move to reconciliation and do some of the active things we've talked about today. Giving where you live, showing up in your community, speaking up for people who need it most, and taking a little bit of extra time to serve those communities where it might take a little bit more effort. The better you educate yourself, the better you can educate others, and the more opportunity we can create for everyone.
Yeah, it starts with that mindset shift. And I think there's been a couple of questions about that, right? A really good example of what's happening here in Denver is that $1 million is no longer luxury. Whereas 5-6 years ago it was, right?
3 years ago it was.
Yeah, so I mean,
well, yeah, 4 years ago we were trying to put together a luxury broker tour, and the question was, do we start at 1 or do we start at 1.2? Because 1.2 felt like we were pushing it, and now 1 is,
that's normal.
Yeah,
it's a normal house out here.
And that's in a short 48 months. That was exactly 4 years ago today. We were having those conversations. So
Yeah, and to me, luxury now is maybe 3-4 million going on up, but it starts with everything you guys talked about today. To find that tribe, find your people, and then with your outreach, reach out to those folks, because they need just as much wisdom and intelligence that should be marketing now than ever before. It isn't about cashing out crypto anymore to buy that next house. It really is the cash that people have and what they're going to do with it as they see the shift happening in their in their wallets right now to go along, right? So thank you guys so much for your time, Melissa and Harrison. You guys were awesome. Derek, throw it back to you.
Thank you, Nobu. My gosh, what a great discussion. That was awesome. Thank you, Nobu, for moderating this morning. And obviously, thank you so much to our panelists, Melissa and Harrison. Wealth of information. And thank you so much for taking the time this morning to bring that information to us. A lot of excellent information in the chat box below. So be sure that you're taking advantage of that. There's a lot of good links that were added. So like I say, be sure and check that out. Again, I'd like to thank Megan Carlson for joining us today from Land Title. And obviously, thank you to Matthew Hay for joining us from Chase as our annual sponsor. Their contact information can also be found in the box below. So a lot of good information there. Before we jump into our marketing session, I want to mention a few announcements before we move ahead. All these things are taking place this month. As I mentioned earlier, it is DMAR's Member Appreciation Month, and there's a lot of stuff on the calendar. So real quick, let me mention some of these things to you. Next Tuesday, August 16th, is a meet and mastermind when buyers and sellers want as the market shifts. That's going to be a 1 CE credit class. Now, that one is sold out, but I would certainly encourage you guys to get on the waiting list because people do drop out at the last minute. So you can still get in there, but sign up for that one. It's sold out. It's going to be a good one, though. Nobu is also going to be moderating that one. Friday, August 19th is our DMAR Connect Tech Showcase and Mastermind. Cool thing about that one, it's going to be hybrid. So you can either watch it online like we did today, or you can actually go in person and participate. There's going to be a tech showcase. So that's going to be incredible. Again, that's August 19th. August 26th, we're going to have a DMAR Connect on new basics for broker owners. This one's going to be geared toward broker owners or those who are striving to own a brokerage eventually. We'll be joined by a powerhouse panel of Steve Murray, Sherry Smith, and Jim Fishnetti, speaking on the challenges and benefits of our new normal, agent attraction and retention, brokerage operations, agent education, and all those things that go into running a brokerage. So again, a lot of you on here are doing that right now and doing a really good job. So let's continue that trend. Finally, what is a member appreciation month without a great member social, right? So on August 31st, we are going to have a member social at DMAR. It's going to be a lunchtime event just to celebrate you, our members. Those of you that have stayed with DMAR and continue to join DMAR, we want to appreciate you and thank you, and we want to celebrate you. So again, that's going to be on the 31st. Watch your calendar for that. Details will be coming out. And then also, as was mentioned today, September 22nd, CAR is going to be offering their At Home with Diversity certification. You guys, $35. As Melissa mentioned, I think I paid well over $100 to get my certification. So take advantage of this. It's an incredible class. It runs the day, but for $35, you cannot beat it. It's going to be held in Broomfield, I believe, in person. So check out the website that was put on the chat box earlier as well. And it's like I say, it's a benefit to your business, and it's a great addition to your diversity and inclusion toolbox. So all that being said, thank you guys again for being here. We do have some time, so we're going to open up the floor. We're going to ask you guys if you want to promote any of your listings, because they're out there to be promoted now. And if you have anything you want to bring up, now's the time to do it. But again, thank you for being here. Thanks again to everyone who joined us, and you guys have a great weekend. Take care.
If anyone wants to talk about the luxury market as well too, can chat about that. That was brought up during the chat. There's been some interesting stat changes in that price point because so much of what is being used for these people to buy their homes now has petered out. So the luxury market, and you're seeing it on the fringes in most market corrections. The fringes of the housing stock are the first to get really affected by what's going on, and we're seeing it now. So showings are down in what is already Colorado's luxury market. I think it's 3 million on up. Showings are down. Time on market has gone way up. So yeah, it's an interesting correction that's happening, and we're going to see it at the top, I think, pretty quickly.
Is that what's considered luxury now, Nobu? 3 million, would you say?
I don't think so. I think
Yeah.
it should keep going up. I mean, we're in a time where there's I think there's like a $60 million house in Aspen on the market right now, right? So there's I think there's luxury, and then there's just like I'm from Mars with a ton of cash, and Melanie's got her dog on her lap. I think we're going to see a lot more bifurcation of housing stock as we go, because I think there's going to be extreme on both ends, while also, you know, there's a difference between 1 and 3, and then 3 and 5, what we're seeing, right? So, and then second home versus primary. Looks like Benjamin Meyer's got a new listing. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, I can talk about it for a second. Yeah, I have a new listing in Centennial, 3-bed, 2-bath, no HOA, 525. The home's in really good condition. There's champagne grapes in the backyard. So yeah, just thought I'd post it in.
Is that luxury, Benjamin?
Yeah, I would say it's luxury, you know, just not a luxury price. Yeah.
Champagne grapes, that's pretty cool. No HOA, pretty big deal, guys. I see Steve Thayer. Dude, you have anything coming on the market, or you sell everything?
We got one in the Meadows in Castle Rock today on the market for 750 grand, 3-bed, 4-bath. Come on down to Castle Rock, beautiful Castle Rock.
How are your days on market going, Steve?
They're creeping up a little bit down here. But I think we've seen it's just a big jump in inventory, right? We had 5 to 10 houses on the market here, and all of a sudden we have 60 in one weekend. So days of market are up to probably in the 30s now, instead of the 5s to 10s that we had seen previously. But it's still a normal market at this point, right?
Just keep in mind, while it feels like listings are up, it's still, I think it's like from last time I heard from our Colorado, still behind by 15% what is normal. So it feels like there are more, but if you're looking at history, it really isn't, which is still kind of nuts. Melissa, go ahead.
I've got 5440 Danube Street in Green Valley Ranch. It is a 3-bedroom, 3-bath. It's a really cool floor plan. There's 3 levels to it. It's great. It needs the backyard. I'm not gonna lie, the backyard needs a little TLC, but it's listed at 525. Please go show it. It's a great house. I love it. I hope someone has a buyer out there for me on this panel. Thanks.
Anyone else want to talk about anything?
Great panel. Thank you so much.
Thanks for chiming in.
Quiet bunch on a Friday.
Because it's Friday.
They're all getting ready to work to do open houses and sell their listings. I get it.
The amount of people who are like, I'm going to go on vacation and I'm going to recharge is huge. I think something that will come up here that's going to affect us most is many of you guys may or may not have seen Zillow and Open Door have a partnership now. I was actually having lunch with one of their VPs when the news was released. What's going to happen is if you have a seller, it's all seller lead generation, guys. If you've got a seller that, if you have a seller that is, and thank you, Melissa, really appreciate it. If you have a seller that is interested in selling their home and they go to Zillow, they're going to be handed off to an Open Door facilitator, not a realtor, not an agent, but one of their concierge people to discuss if the home is a fit And if there isn't a fit, they send it on to a Zillow Premier agent. So it's a, as Mike Belpreti has said, it's a match made in seller lead gen heaven. And I agree. So I think if there's anything you guys would be brushing up on while you're on vacation is to hit every one of these kind of iBuyer websites, because if you thought that they were going to go away in a down market, they're not, guys. They're all very well funded. I think the combined dollar amount of all these guys is almost $5 billion in pure cash that they can buy up housing. I did ask the Zillow guy, like, how are you guys going to rectify the Zestimate versus the purchase price on Open Door? And they said that they're not. There's going to be no correlation. They're going to continue having the Zestimate be its own thing. And as some of you guys may know, is that Rich Barton and Spencer Raskoff has been saying that the Zestimate is a potential offer of a home. That is not going to be the case, right? For the for Open Door. So it's just going to be concierge style, very human services. So, you know, get to know that stuff. If any of you guys are using Cloud CMA with your brokerages, Cloud CMA actually funnels in an Open Door, OfferPad, all these people that are selling house, well, I buy your house, actually funneling in all of the estimates of value. So, you know, think about that, but get to know what's happening out there, because while we may be seeing a little bit of a shift and a pause, these other companies are continuing to act, right? Which is why I'll urge you to keep innovating in your business going forward. Angela, Grunts, Root Brokers?
Yes, I have a question. I appreciate your knowledge. What impact on home values, if any, do you think that the rising crime and homelessness problems in Denver and Aurora are going to have? I work an office in Aurora, and I'm daily terrified because I have drunks hanging outside my office that want me to talk about things that are inappropriate. But so what impact, at what point do people stop wanting to move to a place because of the increase in crime and homelessness?
Well, one, make sure you're engaging with your city council people so that you can report the issues that you're experiencing. But if you look at history, if you look at other markets, not really much. There's no housing, there's no inventory. So folks are actually conceding that stuff. And it's been interesting. One of the conversations that's been happening here in Colorado that's kind of related is fire danger. Okay, so we've had a lot of fire issues, so it's something that actually affects the whole state, right? And there are a bunch of portals and a bunch of technology companies that are starting to publicize the already public data, right? And I'll tell you that some AEs are losing their minds about it, but I'll tell you from personal perspective, consumers want to know. They want to know about the issues that are out there, and they're going to find the data anyways, and it's going to be up to you as a realtor now to know about this stuff. So when it comes to crime, when it comes to fire stuff or floodplain issues, which we are also experiencing here, point people in the right direction for information so they can know themselves what they're getting into, right? Because even in San Francisco, if some of you guys have been there, a beautiful city, it's been having its own issues. There's a little bit of a dip last couple of months, but it's starting to come back because folks can buy again, right? They've been shut out. So go ahead, Angela.
And then speaking, about the floodplain and the fire, I guess we have to add water scarcity into that too, because that's going to affect the growth of the city. Where are we going to get our water from? Absolutely. This is stuff that we all should be knowing. This is the value of a realtor. This should be in our ammo box, frankly, for information that we are talking about and pointing in the right direction to. It's just like school information. You have folks interested in that. So it all is one piece of wisdom and intelligence package that we should be giving to our customers and clients out there. And on that note, land rights, huge issue. The committee at NAR has doubled in size to deal with it because of what you just said. Water issues, land rights issues have become a front and center issue, whereas last 10 years wasn't a big deal. But now that the market's starting to settle, starting to be a thing. Steve, you know this, you know, being at NAR and seeing all the committee growth, you know, it's been an interesting last couple of years as everyone's seemingly kind of stopping and pausing and revamping. We got 3 minutes, Julie.
Oh. If anyone has anything to chat about, we're still here, or we can call it a day and you can get on with your business for the day. And we appreciate you all joining us today. And if anyone is interested, by the way, and I'm sure Derek would say this as well, in some of the topics we covered today, affordable housing and all that, please take a look at our Community Alliance Committee that Derek is chair of. I don't know, Derek, would you like to say another word about that, just in case there's some on the line you might still be interested in that aspect of things?
Thank you, Julie. Basically, we're getting ready to start planning for next year. So it's a great time to get involved. The committee is looking for new ideas, fresh ideas, ways that we can move ahead. With all these topics we discussed today, there's a lot to do. And again, you can't really get a lot done in 1 year. So we want to do a long-term strat plan for the Community Alliance Committee. And as I said, it's a great time to get involved. We would welcome you. It's easy to get on, and we always have a good time, great discussion. So I encourage you to check us out. Definitely.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that struck out to me during Melissa and Harrison's time is that so much of what is kind of executable with a DE&I in mind is actually executable for the rest of your business.
Yeah.
You know, it's the inclusiveness, the affordability aspects. I'm as a CEO of DMAR, kind of watching these market stats and seeing how things have played out over the last 20 years across real estate. You know, I'm worried about real estate buys and sales being very elitist, you know, and it should be available to everyone. We should be fighting for folks and their ability to buy a home, you know, beyond the people that can do it, no matter what the economy is bringing in. You know, there's nothing better for me than to help a teacher. Like my wife, you know, just help a teacher buy a home. And doesn't really matter what color that person is. The teacher in Chicago, man, buying their first home was amazing.
On that vein, I did mention this in the chat, but the city of Denver has just launched a down payment assistance program for people that their parents lived in or their grandparents lived in between 1938, specific neighborhoods in the city that have been earmarked and mapped. So you do need to go to their website. And were formerly redlined at the time. So the down payment assistance is up to $25,000, but I believe it can also be in conjunction with other down payment assistance. So to people who lived in those neighborhoods, again, their parents did, or their grandparents lived in those neighborhoods between 1938 and 2000, it doesn't have to be paid back, and it's up to $25,000. So I think that's a small attempt to fix, you know, some of the policies that negatively affected, particularly communities of color throughout Denver.
I like the idea, Derek, of having some sort of information piece on our site that has down payment assistance. Because right now, you know, see, Virginia's asking.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. It's so disparate. And I've talked to mortgage lenders. I think the Chase guys can chime in on this. They're a little better than most, but man, I've talked to mortgage guys who don't talk to the banking side, who have integrated grant programs, right? So it's just, I think it's this time for all of us kind of sit down and start curating a list of all these resources. It's time, right? Because it's going to be for everybody, and that's actually easy. We could just build a list and keep it curated, and as it phases out, we get to know. You know,
let's do that. I think that's an awesome idea. And as you say, it's so splintered right now. There's not one place you can go and find out all of the information you need. You've got to just kind of really put your feelers out and hope someone bites. So I think that's an incredible idea, Nobu. Yep.
I think that'd be very helpful. Thank you. I was kind of surprised that nobody on the call today, because they were so informed and it was really a great conversation. None of them brought that up.
We will make it happen.
Well, Melissa actually knows a lot about that stuff. I guess I didn't ask the right question to bring it in, so I apologize.
You did.
All right.
Well, thank
I
you
think it's good.
guys. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thanks for your time today. Thank you, Julie, Melanie, and Derek.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks,
Have a good
Nabu.
weekend.
Yep, you all as
Thanks,
well. We'll look at
everybody.
that website. I'll talk to Sarah
you.
about getting that down payment assistance.
Perfect.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.